Well, welcome everyone to the 22nd day of Family Meals Month and the third in our series of Wednesday Lunch and Learn opportunities. So welcome to you. Glad that you're here. There will be others joining us as their time allows. And we are recording this so those who have registered but aren't able to make it today will be able to view the insights that are shared. My name is David Fikes. I'm the Executive Director of the FMI Foundation, and I really do appreciate all of you carving out a piece of your day to share some time with us in celebration of the joys and the benefits of family meals. Very quick antitrust reminder, as a trade association at FMI, we are very cognizant of complying with our nation's antitrust laws. We ask that you please ensure that any questions or comments that you pose do not venture into that forbidden territory of price fixing, market allocations, or specific product or service provider boycotts. We don't anticipate any issues in this area, but just wanted to put that out there as a word of warning and say let's avoid those forbidden topics. We ask that you please post any questions in the chat box during the presentation, and we will pose those to our presenter at the end of her chat with us, and also probably open up the mics for a little conversation at the end of this presentation. It is my joy to share with you that today our speaker is a noted family meals dietitian. As a registered dietitian and nutritionist and fellow at the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, she has held state and national leadership roles with the Academy and has 30+ years of experience in the food nutrition community, which means she began her work when she was only 8 years old. That's amazing. She is the founder of Barbara Barron Nutrition, and she is the co-author of the book Called to Lead: Success Strategies for Women. She will be sharing insights from her chapter today and making all of us more familiar with the 5 principles of family meals that embrace a spirit of ABBONDANZA. And I'm sure she will correct my pronunciation of the word, or at least add that Italian tinge to it. So it aligns mind, body, and spirit. That is so much the benefit of family meals. So please help me welcome Barbara Barron. So Barbara.
Thank you. Abbondanza. Thank you so much, David, for that wonderful introduction. And we're going to talk about the who, what, why, and how, the how to promote Abbondanza experience with family meals. And you may just want you, we're going to dive right in and want you to get the whole Abbondanza experience. And I'm going to refer to your clients and your customers as our community or your community. So I might use that word interchangeably. And before we really even get started, I really want to know how you feel about family meals. So in the chat, when I say go, I want you to type real fast the one word, only one word. If you have to use 2, okay. What one word description comes to mind about family meals? All right, 1, 2, 3, go. Go, go, go. Hopefully you're seeing my next slide, right? Okay. Anyone writing in the chat? Because I can't see the chat, Tom.
Yes, absolutely. We have daily highlight, values, connection, and fun.
Perfect. I love all of these, and these are the same sentiments when I've did a little crowdsourcing with my community, and it's joy that connection is so important. And one thing that comes up is loud. Now, loud could be rolling in laughter loud, or it could be loud and angry voices giving me agita, right? Loud. But either way, it is an opportunity, a real opportunity for us to work with our community and show them and bring the lighter side of family meals to the table and show them the joy. And there's so many opportunities for us, right? So it is no doubt that my number one passion is family meals, bringing everyone together around the table and enjoying not healthy food together. And this is just a little snapshot of our annual Christmas Eve fish dinner. This woman to the far right, sitting down with the white hair, is my mom, and she started that Abbondanza experience. And you know what? She was inspired by her mom, which is this lady in the lower left. I don't have a pointer right here. I guess I could get my red pen out, my highlighter. And this woman over there, that's my grandmother. And you know what? I've transferred, or it's multi-generation, that feeling of abbondanza. And so these are my boys who are now in their 20s, and they're cooking and they're enjoying meals together. So the feeling of family meals, whatever we set the table, how we set the table, it transfers through the generations. And a little later, I'll tell you a little bit about this guy who's the patriarch of the family, my grandfather, who comes from a little fishing town off the coast of Naples called Procida. And don't worry, I'm not going to be sharing my whole family story. It's not about Barbara's family. It's not about the Italian experience. But by now, you're probably wondering, what is abbondanza, right? So the definition translates into an abundance and plenty. And then when you align that with food and family and faith, we're bringing that joy, the joy of connecting together and bonding over a family meal. We're not only nourishing our bodies, but it's also the mind and the spirit. It's our entire being. And that's the beauty of family meals and that abbondanza experience. And again, it's not about the Italian culture. And I bet if we did a research, there's probably a word in every culture that translates into an abundance. And so we're embracing all cultures and all beliefs. What I want to do is have a little fun right now. So I'd like everybody to get yourselves off mute on the count of 3. All right. And when I count to 3, I want everyone to say abbondanza. Okay. And there's the phonetic spelling if you really have trouble, but there is no wrong way to say it. 1, 2, 3.
Abbondanza.
Okay. Does it put a smile on your face? Does it make you feel good? Maybe feel a little silly, or maybe you're rolling your eyes. But that's the feeling and the experience we want our community, your community, to feel. We want them to feel this excitement about family meals. And so you're probably chuckling a little bit right now. Oh, abbondanza. But this experience, that feeling, is a way to market to your customers, your clients, and so that they want to buy more healthy foods and also eat together and enjoy those foods together. It's the experience that we're selling along with, and the healthy foods come along with it. So in my book, in the chapter, I discuss 5 tips. And I have to say, for the sake of time, I'm going to put 2 of those tips still sitting in the book, simmering in the pot, and I've plated up 3 of those tips right here for you. The dish, we're going to go deep dive into these, talking about some how-tos, dishing up a new experience. We're going to talk about healthier you, but really healthy families as a result of individuals nourishing themselves. And then the cultural aspect, the celebration of cultures, not only our own culture, or those of others. Before we start, we have to really understand the climate. What is the current situation that we're in? What is your community experiencing right now? And what we know intuitively, and if you think back to maybe even your own self, you could probably say, when we usually get together when we gather with other people, we're usually eating the similar types of food or the same foods. So why do you think that might be? Many reasons: time, convenience, and after all, we're on autopilot when we don't have to bother with a new recipe. You don't have to go shopping for that unusual ingredient that's on the list. So it could be convenience. And then we have an opportunity as food and nutrition and industry experts to introduce, to get people out of that oh ho hum meals. So same food, same time, same place. And we can kind of show new ways to have a new experience around food and just enjoy food in a different way. But where's the first place that you might start this? Yes, it could be in the home. But what about the store? The store or your organization is a great place to provide that warm, welcoming experience that your customers are looking for, or your community. So I tell you a little story here. I call it the sumac story. I'm pressed for time, and I wanted to try this new beet chickpea ratai salad, and it called for sumac. So I'm running into the store, again, pressed for time. I see the stock boy or this person who's stocking the shelves. I was like, where's the sumac? And he didn't tell me which aisle it was in. Instead, he walked me over to the aisle, took the sumac off the shelf, and then, not only that, he hands it to me with a smile. And then he doesn't stop there either, because he says, can I help you with anything else, ma'am? All right, ma'am. But I was feeling abbondanza, that blessed feeling that, oh, this person knew what I needed, how fast I needed it. He really saved me time in my day because I had to rush home and make my salad, right? But this was the experience that I had in the store. So is your community or is your organization providing that warm, welcoming, inviting experience for your community? That's a question, but a rhetorical question for you to kind of contemplate. And for those who are watching the replay, I hope you kind of jot down little notes so that as we're going through this, you know, some ideas will come through, and for new ways for yourself, hopefully you'll be inspired for new ways for marketing. So we're going to be diving into a little bit of new ways for dishing up new experiences. There are many platforms, and I may not mention all of them, but you know, there's social media, there's your magazines, there's the in-store videos, and to take some of these ideas and translate them into any one of those venues is an opportunity. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the detail of dishing up new experiences, new foods, or serving old favorites new ways, and planning and cooking together. Next slide. Okay, no gremlins here. So planning and cooking. Imagine that you could have a family meal challenge, like say you know, you may have already been doing challenges, but what about a father-child challenge or a parent-child challenge where you're providing a recipe, a shopping list, where that parent, maybe it's the parent who's not always home all the time, and there's an opportunity for bonding and creating that abbondanza experience. And then you can share that on social media, and then it becomes contagious, and new ideas just blossom from that when everyone's posting on social media. So everyone kind of gets new ideas from each other. It's the mastermind, right? And then you could provide a prize for that, like maybe it's a gift card in your store or your organization or anything small. It's just really, it's that opportunity to bond together. Now, I know many stores and supermarkets and organizations have the 5-ingredient recipes, right? So why not have an easy 5-ingredient recipe with a secret ingredient like abbondanza tip? And I could help with that. And I'm sure you could too, because there are so many tips. Like the abbondanza tip could be conversation starters at the table, or so that you don't, you know, sit at the table and you're asking your kids, how is school? Good. And it's more like, so what was the best part of your day? Or, you know, how was your teacher today? Something like that. And then another idea that you might want to try out is to encourage your community to play restaurant together. Now you could, in the stores, you can create a whole little package, branded aprons, branded utensils, and have the recipes or actually tips on how to plan a menu together. You could have prep and cook sheets for your family sous chefs from 2 to 92, and you'll make a nice package with that, and they're having fun from the planning stages all the way to cleanup. And it's that abbondanza experience that we're trying to convey in the while we're cooking together. So new foods. New foods, sometimes we're a little leery about trying new foods because, oh, it's again that time and convenience. But this is a nice opportunity to introduce. I've had clients come to me and they've eaten stir fry, but they don't know how to make a stir fry dish. And some people who have had made stir fry dishes are a little leery about trying new vegetables. So why not, if say make a Chinese eggplant stir fry and have the recipe right next to the Chinese eggplant, showing them how to choose it, when to buy it, and the nutritional value. These are just so many opportunities for showcasing new foods and vegetables within a kind of a traditional dish. And then roasted vegetables. This is another one I get often, is that, roasted vegetables can be common for some, where they know how to roast the same vegetables in the same manner, and then foreign for others. But for the ones who would like do it the same way, same time, same food, same place kind of a thing, why not try a new recipe, like a tandoori roasted cauliflower? Put a new twist to it. And then the list goes on from there. Those are just two ideas. The other way to take the old favorites and create new ways in presenting them, right? Breakfast for dinner, or picnic in the living room. Now, picnic in the living room, how does that, work with us in terms of food and nutrition experts? Well, you can make a nice little package again, like a little boxed picnic where they have the paper plates, you have like a little sheet, and then you have some recipes or some picnic ideas, and even something on food safety, and you can package that and promote that to your community. Pizza for breakfast, we're in the food and nutrition industry, we've heard of that. Just think about pizza for a moment. You can feature the flatbread in your store. There's the mini bagels. There's the English muffins, the frozen pizza dough, or the dough that you have to make from scratch. So you have to get all the ingredients. And that's just the pizza crust. We're not even talking about toppings. There's so many opportunities to give people, your community, some ideas on how to serve old favorites in new ways. Another one is that peanut butter and jelly smoothies. And I usually like to serve my smoothies for myself when I make them, and I'll use frozen fruits, especially in the winter when they're not available. I'll put frozen berries, cherries, and I serve it to myself in a nice big water goblet. What you can do is, in the stores, give a recipe with all the ingredients, the shopping list, and then maybe package it with a nice glass. So that's just a few ideas right there. This is my favorite story because we're starting of my cousin Regina, and it's really when we're creating new experiences, we're dishing up new family traditions. And I'll just share quickly with you that when my cousin and her new husband came back from their wedding, they were starving. Now, who eats at their wedding? Okay, anybody here? You're usually, greeting all the guests. When they got home, she decides to make linguine and clam sauce. Now, linguine and clam sauce, why would you say she would make linguine and clam sauce? Because her father made it. That was the first dish her father had shown her how to make. So she made it for her new husband. And you know what? Every year, every anniversary for the past 29 years, they have linguine and clam sauce every anniversary. So again, that's that opportunity of taking that new experience and dishing up new family traditions. So now my next question for you And you can put this in the chat. What new and fun traditions have you created with your families or around family meals? And if you don't have, if you're not living with your family, immediate family, just what new traditions have you created from your past or when you were growing up? Any new fun traditions? Tom, can you read some answers for me?
Looks like there's some typing, but nothing in yet. I'll read them out as soon as it's in there. Here we go. I just got one. I love all the ideas to turn meals into new experiences. What is your number one tip for getting folks in your community to try a new food, especially when they find comfort in the familiar and routine?
Okay. Well, one way is to take that food and kind of maybe work it into a traditional type recipe, which I'll kind of will talk a little bit later about or touch on. So it's taking something new and presenting it in a more familiar manner. And maybe it's just doing a taste test with that food and just if you have that opportunity, because that's not always the case, right? But if you have the opportunity to cook the food, show how it can taste, that's one way. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay. Any new traditions?
Yep, I have including our pets in the conversation.
I love it.
Recreating restaurant dishes.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like someone else is typing.
Okay. So for the sake of time, if you have it, give it to me right now because I don't want to keep everyone too long. But this is great because these are things that we could share maybe late, and if you have the ability to save the chat, you can put it together.
Here's the last one. Fondue party, cheese and oil fondue.
I love it. Fondue party. Is that something, a new tradition, that person? Who's that? Can they come off mic and share a little bit about that? Is that something that they are currently doing?
So yes, what we have done is when my kids get together, I'll have different stations, cheese fondue, maybe have some blanched asparagus and beans or broccoli so they can dip. The oil fondue would be for meats. And then the chocolate fondue for strawberries, pineapple, maybe marshmallows.
How old are your kids?
Oh, they're 20s to 30.
Okay. So I love when we call our kids, they're adults. I do the same thing. But this is great because did you start this earlier with them? I'm sorry, I'm going a little off.
A few years ago, yeah.
Okay.
So that's always a treat when we're all together.
That's fantastic. What I was just whatever new tradition that you are teaching, you're teaching skills, right? You're being around the table together. You're picking the vegetables, and it's a great way to add more vegetables and fruits into our diets, just in a fun way. Love it, Brenda. Okay, so let's look a little bit closer. Someone asked about celebrating cultural, bringing new foods to people who new foods or cultural food, new foods into introducing new foods for those who are kind of more resistant to trying new foods. But when we look at celebrating the cultures, we're celebrating our heritage, the traditions of our heritage. So we're bridging that generational gap as well as the cultural gap. And it's again celebrating our culture, and that I feel like is so important. So that's not lost. And then looking out at the culture of our friends around us and appreciating that and bringing those foods into our homes. So that's another nice way for the person who asked that question. If they have friends from another culture, they may also be more willing to try that new food and prepare that new food and for that person. So that is another way to introduce new cultural foods into your community. So this is so important, is so that our images in your stores or your organization represent the demographics of our community. So that is one way to reach out to our community. But it's also important to reach across the cultures. And this is an example of the intergenerational. There's multi-generations in many of these photos, and people are enjoying food around at the table. So when we think about Thanksgiving, in fact, today is, and I'm going to probably mispronounce it, but Sukkot, which is a Jewish tradition where it's a kind of celebration of happy Thanksgiving harvest. Some of you are maybe celebrating fall, first day of fall equinox, and Thanksgiving is right around the corner. So when holidays are coming up, we all put our own cultural flares. If you think, whether it's Thanksgiving or any other special occasion, what are some cultural foods that are must-haves at your table? Can you just quickly write that in the chat? Tom, if anyone can, 1, 2, 3, go.
Looks like there's some typing. Okay. Turnips.
Turnips.
Cornbread dressing.
Great. So those are your must-haves at the table. Now, what about our people in our community? What are their must-haves? And I'll give you just a quick story. My grandfather, I told you, from Italy, every Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving, next to the turkey or before the turkey, we had to have a few forkfuls of spaghetti. And as kids, we rolled our eyes because we wanted to get to the turkey and all the great sides. However, that little, his demand or request for spaghetti kind of stuck with me about the importance of how we bring our food from our culture to whatever special occasions that we're celebrating. And just like that was for our family, and you for your family, the food, your must-haves, think about your community. What are the must-haves that must be on the table for them? And if they must be on the table, they must be in your organization, or there also must be some ideas on how to prepare some of those foods within an organization. And think also about those must-have foods. Say a traditional hummus, or if there's something else that's there, like say something that's served with rice, and if someone has special dietary needs that come to our special occasions, how could they prepare that food, still taste great, and still meet the dietary recommendations or restrictions, or sometimes it's preferences, intolerances, how can that be met at the same time? So that's where like our retail dietitians come into play, as well as the chefs and food and nutrition industry, just joining forces together for that abbondanza experience and creating a warm, welcoming environment so that everyone can enjoy the food, even if they can't, say that if they're allergic to something. All right. Building healthier you, one meal at a time. That's the last one of our last tips. And it's really not, it's very important because our parents, we know that parents want one more meal with their children. They want to have meals more often with their children. And if we can outline more of the benefits, it's a win-win. There's better grades, better nutrition, more self-confidence, which really addresses our entire being, and more savings. So there's so many opportunities. You could take each one individually and build a whole campaign about each. Now, we want to make it easy. We want to reduce the overwhelm and the stress. Meal solutions. There are so many choices in supermarkets right now that if I am pressed for time, which I have been known to be, I will buy the pre-cut vegetables and I will put everything in the pot and make a quick soup. Or I will sometimes buy that rotisserie chicken because I can heat and serve it, right? These are all choices that you're offering in convenience, but there's also the opportunity to experience the food. If I want to cut my own vegetable, I will. In fact, the other day I was in the store, literally, and I saw 4 ears of corn already shucked. 4 ears for $5. And then right next to that were the corn in the husks I could buy 5 for $2. Which do you think I bought? I bought the one that was still in the husks because I had a little time. But if I was pressed for time, you bet I would be buying the shucked corn. So it was so nice to have that option. And just the most important thing is to have fun. And all of these different ways allow us to have fun together at the table. It gives that, it kind of less stress, less worry, and get straight to all the conveniences that we have, which is beautiful. Then advance the slide. What's really fabulous is you have all of this at your fingertips. And we all do, because I've used these infographics over and over again, and I love them. And this is one of my favorite, right front and center, share meals that help teach family heritage. I think it's so important to learn about our own heritage as well as that of others. And I love these infographics. They're great tips in the entire toolkit. I hope you're using them, not just for September, but for the whole year long. And we are planting the seeds for nourishing our bodies, our mind, and our spirit. Again, our entire being, so important. You can't just isolate one. If you want more information or more of my tips, they're in the book. If you want a signed copy of the book, it's right there in Call to Lead. You can click on that URL and I'll send you a signed copy of the book. And with that, I'm probably over. I'd love for you to share your family meal stories with me. That's my contact information. I will be happy to take questions.
Okay, we have time for one question. If anyone's got a hot
stuff
item on their minds that they really need, a burning item. Okay, I don't see any typing going on. So again, in the honoring everyone's time frame, want to thank Barbara for bringing a spirit of ABBONDANZA to all of us today. So thank you for that. Remind everyone that this is recorded, but also to remind you that next week, Kristen Mize and Josh Fox from our friends at Common Threads will join Madeline Farr from the FMI Government Relations Department to tackle that tough issue of keeping family meals affordable. So make sure that everyone has that spirit of ABBONDANZA. So again, thank you so much, Barbara, and thank all of you for joining us today. Great presentation, and look forward to next week as well. Have a great day, everyone.